What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review Podcast. This episode, I guess you'd say, I've got special guests from San Francisco, Oakland area. Yes, PROSTHETIC, band that I covered on the live stream once and was really interested in their music. And I just sent them a message out of the blue. And then, like, out of the blue, they sent me one a couple months later. And now we're kind of hanging out, working together, figuring some things out. So we got Ethan here, I guess, on the screen's left, and then Danny on the right. Ethan is the guitar and vocals. Danny is the bass player. And my personal opinion on their music is it's just like pretty traditional hardcore, like era one hardcore to me anyways. Sounded like early 90s stuff a lot, a little bit late 80s. I don't know. I guess it's up for debate. People are going to hear what they hear in music. I've been told that bands that I consider like street punk bands were pop punk. So whatever, man. You like what you like, you hear what you hear. I really enjoy their music, so I have them here to hang out for a little while. So what's up, fellas? How's your day going?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, likewise. I've been laying low pretty much all day, so this is the highlight, to be honest.
Let's go.
From my standpoint, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed being like, I did something. So
that's actually like a goal I have almost every day, man. Like, do something, man. Like, don't be a bum. Like, I got so much going on because I keep adding to my do something list. Life is good right now, man. I mean, we're in a weird spot as just like a species, a race of people. But like, man, outside of that, and what I can control in my life is pretty nice right now. I'm reaping some of the benefits of all these years of hard work, man. I hope everybody's having an awesome day. So welcome everybody to the show. Thank you. If you're listening on Spotify, we just hit 250 downloads on Spotify. I know it's not a big number, but I've only been on there for like a month and a half. So I find that to be substantial, and I appreciate everybody that checks out the show, be it video or audio. Okay, so we talked a little bit like on messages, me and you, Ethan, I believe, right? Mostly I've been talking to you. And okay, let's just start off when did you guys start? How'd the band come about, and what were your like initial thoughts and goals? Did you have anything in mind, or were you just wanting to hang out and play some music?
We started playing sometime last year, I think. And Danny and I have played music for ever.
Like 15 years
or something like that now. So off and on, we've played a lot, and we've been in different bands. But
we used to live with each other in one of our band houses for a good couple of years. So in Santa Cruz.
Dude. Yeah. Gotta love the band house, dude. I've been a part of many of those.
It has its ups and downs.
Yeah,
right, for sure.
But I just, I mean, here in the Bay Area, there's such a good like hardcore scene, and there's a lot of like grindcore and power violence too, and I just kind of wanted to get into that, get back to playing music, doing live shows and all that kind of stuff. And I wrote some songs of the hardcore variety.
Let's go.
But
he chooses his words very, very carefully, as you can see. So
well, I'd been listening to obviously Discharge and like House Rotten, but also there's some local bands like there's a band that just stopped playing but called Torso out of Oakland, and so
I don't know if I know them.
It kind of it ended up being the hardcore thing, but the blast beats made their way into it also, and so
nice.
Our drummer likes to think of us as a power violence band, which I think our songs are a little too long to be power violence.
Yeah, I would say so. Oh, I have heard of Torso. Is it got a lady singer or?
Yeah.
I feel like I can't even say that anymore. I might get canceled. A person that looks like it would go by female. I don't know what I'm saying, man. I'm just trying to be polite. People, calm down. I think I have heard their music a couple times.
Yeah, I think they played out in Texas, maybe a few times, but it would have been a few years ago.
No, I'm pretty sure I heard their music the same way I heard you guys. I found y'all's through, I believe it was Fellow Punk YouTube channel. I get a lot of music through that channel, and so I just like. So the way that we even got in touch is kind of strange because I believe did I send an email or was it a message on Instagram? I think it was an email.
It was an email, and I didn't even know that Fellow Punk video existed because I had tossed our stuff on YouTube, and I wanted to, for whatever reason, I wanted to like bring up the music to hear it, and I searched and I saw that one was the first one that came up, and I was like,
isn't that weird?
All right, cool. People people find it somehow, you know.
Was that dude in Australia?
No, that was something else. That dude also.
That's awesome.
Like, in that instance, it's like that is one, like when someone says no to a question like that, you're like, oh, that's the good news. Like,
right. Well, I reached out because I believe dude had y'all's Bandcamp like linked in the description. And whenever I hear a band that I really enjoy, I like to put money into people's projects. I mean, how else can we continue to do this unless we're willing to put some kind of financial backing into them, be that $5 or $500, whatever the dollar amount is, right? So I thought, oh, they probably have a 7-inch or a tape or something. So I went and looked and I was like, whatever. So I just sent the email because I was like, I don't know. I just like putting out tapes. It's just like, I love doing it. I got my first record that's about to drop on vinyl. It's like literally it's in boxes behind me. And I'm like super antsy. I got one tape that's coming out Friday. I've got another band from Houston I'm working with. They're fixing to record. And I don't know if you guys know the band, The Havoc from Los Angeles.
No, have not.
No, they're I mean, at least in my world, they're like a street punk band, a la like the Unseen and Casualties and stuff. But they reached out and we're working together a little bit too. So like, I'm pretty happy, man. It should get a lot of people's ears on the label. And I don't know, I just want to have an umbrella of punk and punk adjacent music. It doesn't have to be one kind, man. I like all of it. I've been around for a long time. I've been listening to this music since the early 90s. So like, this is, anything that sounds, well, I mean, honestly, I don't really like metal per se, like a whole lot, but anything under the punk rock umbrella, and that includes hardcore quite a bit. I mean, when I heard y'all stuff, I was thinking there was a lot of integrity in the vocals. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I hear a lot of like Ringworm specifically, actually more Ringworm than integrity. But yeah, man, it's good music. I really like it. I like the version that you sent me the other day. It's good stuff, man. Not enough people doing this stuff to me.
Yeah, I wanted to add the guitars to it because, like we were talking about before, we're a 3-piece sometimes. And that's how we started. We started as a 3-piece. But an old friend of ours from back when we lived in the punk house, he lives in San Francisco now, and so we, I thought it would be nice to have 2 guitars. It makes my job a little bit easier when we have 2 guitars playing, and
right.
I think I wanted to add him to the recordings, and I think it turned out pretty good.
I would say so.
I agree.
Yeah, I just I'm very consistently like, so for as long as we played, like I remember like when we first started playing music together, I was just like, hot damn, like this dude is like just would have like the most noodly like things he could play, and then meanwhile I was just like, I can play this Ramones song, like so I just thought
that's me.
I was like, well, no, it took me forever to figure out like why does this guy want to play with me, and how however many years later,
Bro, at my best, I was in a band where I was far and away like the worst part of the band, and I was the guy that came up with all the rhythm. I wrote all the melodies, I wrote all the basic, all the like the rhythm guitar, all the lyrics and the vocals, because that's what I was doing. And I was gonna say I can't play and sing very well, like I almost to the point where I'd say I can't really do it. It's so difficult to me. I've always had a lot of respect for people that can play guitar and sing at the same time. But yeah, I had guys in my band that I was like, dude, what? And I mean, shoot, my old drummer went on to do some things that in my world are very substantial. Our guitar player, he's still playing guitar for a living. And our old my old bass player, his name's Ryan. He does a band called Liberty and Justice, and they're like, I mean, they tour the whole world. So like those dudes are super, super amazing. I was very, very lucky to be around those guys as long as I was. So were you trying to get off of, let's see, how do I ask this question? So are you wanting to have a little bit more freedom doing vocals so that way you can do more intricate guitar work on, or are you wanting to be able to do like some rhythm stuff live, do vocals, and have the other guy do some intricate guitar work? Is that kind of the idea, or you just want it to be a thicker, heavier wall of sound?
A little bit of all of that, and live. If I mess up,
It
it's
gets,
a little
gets covered up a little bit.
No,
also,
huge benefit is a oops doesn't really get heard as often as it would with just one guitar, for sure.
it also gives us more options for writing and all that kind of stuff.
100%.
A little bit of the benefit of us being a sometimes three-piece band, though, at the moment, is that, like, I mean, we just want to go and play shows, and
Right.
if our other guitar player can't make it, we're like, we can still do it. You know?
It's like we still want the gang to be all there, but it's not out of the question, you know.
Yeah, I put it all together in a way that we can do it as a three-piece, but we like to have everybody together, and hopefully we'll be able to do more shows with everybody together. But it would be nice to be able to have a little more freedom and ease playing, and takes a little bit off my shoulders, and I think we can probably give a little bit of a better show that way too.
So I'll tell you this. Here's an exclusive bit in that theme. You know, like just opening up. You know, Ethan to do this, that, and the other thing. We are attempting to start an orchestra. Sorry, I'm just.
Bro, I was like, what?
No. I'm sorry. That was just me being a doof. You know.
That's awesome, dude. You know what though? Like, in all sincerity, like there has got to be somebody out there that like that's their actual idea. They're like, all right, I'm gonna start out with like a three-piece, bro. I'm gonna add a second guitar. Hell, I might add a third. We might go with two bass players. We might have some crazy Slipknot 2 drummer thing going on. Before you know it, bam, 15-piece hardcore band, but with only one vocalist, because that guy, you know, he wants all the shine on him. I did this at one point. I was in a band and we had two guitars, and one of our guitar players, I don't remember what the reason why he suddenly couldn't be at a show. And so we had our bass player had a fairly clean like sound with his bass. It wasn't much gain on it at all. It didn't, I don't know the technical terms. It wasn't distorted very much. It's a very clean bass sound. And I was like, hey, why don't you go like midway point between that and like super crunchy and see if it thickens it up a little bit. We did that a little bit, and it kind of, I don't know, it didn't do the same obviously, but it was a better sound than what we were going with just the one guitar, because we had some leads in our songs and stuff. We didn't want to go without those because it would make the song sound weird. If you didn't have the leads in it, it would sound empty in big spaces. But I don't have a lot of technical knowledge on any of this stuff. I just know how to write a rhythm and I would say fairly decent lyrics. But man, I like being where I am in this world and not in the making music anymore. I feel much more comfortable in this end of things.
Yeah, well, you know, and it's punk rock. You know, if I mean, our guitarist has another like power violence type band, and the last show we saw them at, their bass player couldn't make it out because of a family emergency, but they played anyway. You know, it's punk. People just want to hear the music, and it still worked. And you know, there's always ways to work around all that stuff. There's always an ideal, but you know.
Just for the sake of at least that quick plug, that band is called Crohn's.
Crohn's, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you spell that? Crohn's. Is it
Crohns, I think.
Okay, so I definitely would have been wrong then. Okay, that's good. And there are power violence from San Francisco?
Some of them live here
question.
Some of them live here in the Bay Area, and some of them live out in Sacramento, a few hours away. So
okay,
and their drummer plays guitar in a band called Spy, and they're always touring. So Crohn's doesn't have all that often because, like, you know, he's off. They just toured Canada.
I was like, I thought I saw some picture of them in like Chicago, and then I was like, holy shiza, like, wow, they've got some mileage to themselves.
That's always the one, I would say, major downside to the hardcore and the punk. Both. It's all one thing to me, man. Like in the punk rock scene, it's the major downside is that all the good musicians are usually very incestual with their bands that they have. They've got this dude's in this band, this guy's in these three bands, and this. So when one band is constantly touring and they're doing fairly well, all the other bands suffer. So I do find that more often than not, it's a plus, but that does become an issue occasionally. But it's all in good fun, man. I don't know a lot about Power Violence. I've heard a little bit of that. I mean, to me, it sounds kind of like grindcore, and that all kinds of sounds like metals. I don't know. I don't know the differences, but I've heard a lot of stuff described as either grindcore or Power Violence that I've ultimately ended up enjoying. I'll have to check out that band and see what they sound like.
Yeah, Power Violence is like grindcore, except drop the production value and make the songs about 25 seconds long.
And that's a long one. That's a long one.
Okay. I just don't have the knowledge on that stuff. I like some of the music, man, but as I get older, my hearing's not that great anymore. And so when some of this stuff, it sounds so muddy and chaotic, I can't enjoy it at all. Like I probably in my 20s would have liked a lot more of that kind of music. I just wasn't around it as much. But so with your band, is there a story behind the name Prosthetic? Because I was like, when we first started talking, I was like thinking of ideas for album art in case you guys didn't want to use that stuff that y'all were already using. Ultimately, that's what we're going to use. But like, I had some ideas that I'll tell you off air so you can say maybe later I'll use that for something. But yeah, was there a story behind the name? I like the name. It kind of fits, really, honestly.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, it's always hard to come up with a band name. That's always my least favorite part.
Oh, it's a pain in the ass.
Now with the internet and everything, it's most names are taken, but the idea was sort of born out of because I had some of the songs already, and when I write lyrics, I've written melodic stuff before, and I find it harder for me to write like love songs and that flavor of thing. I'm writing more about like war and climate change and that sort of thing, but I had written some songs about how shitty war is and that sort of thing. And so it was, the idea of that the military will send people off to go get blown to bits and come back, and all they get is shitty healthcare and
spit on when they leave the plane.
Well, shitty healthcare and a government issued prosthetic for their wounds they suffered, and a little bit of PTSD. And so that was kind of and along those lines, I actually have an idea for another EP name, but so it's kind of end of a tangential thought.
Well, I like that. It fits with the visual art that you've given me so far and the music that I've heard. Talking to you for just a few minutes of talking to you, it does kind of all make sense, to be honest. I almost was like, please don't just answer this with no, because I'm like, is there a story behind your name at all? And they're just like, nope, and they don't even elaborate on that at all. They're just like, no. I'm like, all right, well, I was expecting at least 5 minutes out of this, so let me figure something out. So you think that climate change is real, though, huh? No, I'm kidding, bro.
I have my Randall. I have my doubts personally.
Like, look, I definitely don't have a degree in any kind of science stuff, but it just seems almost like common sense to me that if you do A, B will happen. I don't know, man. It feels like a cause, and I don't know. Never mind. It's it's gonna piss off somebody somewhere. But like, I don't know. I just don't see how we couldn't possibly be doing harm to the earth as humans with all the nasty shit that we do with everything, all the cars, the people, the buildings, the concrete, the fucking war, all that shit. Of course, it's doing damage. Of course, it's. I don't know.
It'll come to a point where it'll be unavoidable for some people, and that's kind of the basis for the the lyrics and the second song on the EP, First World Refugees, because I mean, it'll be a little hard to avoid when people actually have to flee the places that they live because it's unlivably hot.
Well, Yeah,
Dude,
and
I've thought about that because I live in Houston, bro, and it gets almost unbearable at times. But we're not even that close to the equator. Imagine people living in other parts of the world; they're getting affected by stuff we're doing here. And I don't want to go on some kind of tirade about this stuff, but like it does affect other people. We're not just dealing with us, man. Like, yeah. I mean, music like this needs to be made because people need to hear this shit, and people need to understand that, like, when you wake up every day. I'm guilty of this too. I still eat from grocery stores. Okay, I'm not free of any kind of blame, but at least I'm thinking about it, man. Like, if at least can't you have some kind of, like, I don't know, a little bit of guilt for the way that we're living? Like, there's not nothing, or you just don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it just kind of seems selfish, and I'm around a lot of selfish people, just on a regular basis due to the fact that I'm in a giant city, and so it's it is what it is, I guess. But I like to think that I'm a better person than that. Maybe I'm not, but I try to do certain things here and there. And I don't know. I read up stuff when I can. I listen to podcasts. I listen to documentary style videos and things. And I don't know. It's rough, man. It's rough. But yeah, it's a message that needs to be spoken and heard. So, I'm gonna get into did y'all freeze up? All right, let's wait a second. Okay, did y'all freeze for a minute?
Yeah.
Are y'all on Wi-Fi? I assume you're on a phone.
No, I'm on a laptop, but it was having a hard time there for a second. It seems like it came back.
Yeah, I think we're back on right now. It's all good. I was just running my mouth because I was getting all. I don't know how you guys do it, but I start thinking about it, and I just spiral into like obsessive anger, and then I also worry a lot. So then I get all like paranoid about the world, and I'm like, oh yeah, we got to do something. And in reality, I still have to go to work tomorrow. It's this weird balance that we got to find, and I think most people just don't want to try to find the balance because it is work, man. It's not nothing worth the shit is ever free or easy. That includes, I don't know, helping the world and other people. So, yeah.
Yeah. When I get in those moments, I yell about it.
Oh man, y'all are breaking up real bad.
Forever.
Hold on, y'all are breaking up real bad. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah. Let's see if this I can do about that.
I'll be right back. So if that is for a moment. No. Yeah, I don't know if like fixing the.
Hold on, I'm sending a text.
Oh.
All right.
Hey. All right. Hopefully that
doesn't happen again.
Yeah, one of my Wi-Fi points just decided it didn't want to.
Oh, it's all good, dude. It's part of the gig, man. I used to get bothered by that stuff. I do not anymore because I learned that it is just part of doing this.
Yeah.
So
maybe I will try the phone.
It's up to you if you want to. I'm not in any big hurry.
Oh my God. Sorry, it's choppy again. I'm gonna switch to the phone. See how that does.
Most people end up using their phones unless they're connected hardwire to the internet. Bro, being that close to Mexico, you ever eat? Well, I guess I don't know how close you are to Mexico specifically, but Houston is, pretty close. Y'all ever get this kind of shit? Where it's like this, oh, shit. All right.
Good improvisation, everybody.
All right, now I just have to figure out. Let's see. What do I have here?
That's our best bet.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Dude.
Sorry about all that.
No, it's all good, man. Not tripping at all. For anybody that's wondering what I'm doing, I'm eating this like Mexican candy. It's literally just sweet potato, and I guess it's just sugar. Like the ingredients are 3 ingredients: sweet potato, sugar, and sodium, like preservatives. So like salt.
Sounds good
It's
to
like the
me.
weirdest thing, but it's so good, man. Like I don't eat much candy. I'm gonna do what?
How much out of 10?
Dude, 8.5, 9. It's so good.
That's like a reason. That's like a reasoned opinion there, because normally when people they like something, they're like 15 out of 10 or something. But it's like,
No, dude, it's like
there's still room for improvement.
Okay, so it's not like as good as say a Snickers would taste, because Snickers is just chock full of bullshit. It's meant to make your mouth explode.
There's
right?
a band name there.
Yeah, chock full of bullshit from Houston, Texas. Oh man, that would have been my dumbass band name too.
It's never
I had
too
a band name once that I can't even repeat on this channel. It'll get me demonetized. So I've had some stupid band names, but it's like, but if you simplify it, I don't eat a lot of candy right now. I'm on this like lifestyle change. I'm trying to lose weight. I've lost about 30 pounds almost, and I'm really working hard. And so I don't eat a lot of, thank you. I don't eat a lot of candy. And so like, I do have a sweet tooth though. So I'm trying to find like, okay, I'll eat fruits and I'll eat this and I'll eat that. And I was just at a gas station and I saw that and I was like, sweet potato. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, this actually is a piece of a sweet potato. And I was like, I wonder how they made this. And I was like, it's got to taste okay. Sweet potatoes are delicious. So I bought it, and it's like, I think an average Snickers is probably like 450 calories for one little candy bar, right?
Serious? Wait, oh my
Oh,
God.
it's a lot, dude. You know what? Let's find out. But this thing for the whole thing is only 250. So oh shit.
Yep.
There we go. Dude, that was weird, bro. Who knows, man? Technical difficulties. Anyways, people are gonna be like, dude, shit's falling apart, man. The dude's talking about fucking sweet potatoes. What is happening? But like, but it's like a simple piece of candy, sweet treat, man. And it's like not good for you per se, but it's also probably not gonna kill you or give you cancer. So
yeah,
it's a nice medium. So yeah, like an 8.5 is an appropriate score for that out of 10. Because yeah, of course you could improve it. You could drizzle it in caramel and put chocolate over it. It probably tastes a little bit, well, maybe to a kid. I think that sounds disgusting. But, you get the idea. Put some nougat in there where it'll be all right, right? Anyhow,
gotta love a short ingredient list though.
That dude, thank you. And as I get older and learn how to cook and learn more about my health, I'm learning that short ingredient lists are very important. And the very first ingredient being something you can pronounce and you're familiar with. Like if it's something, the product essentially. So if like you're looking at, let's say, an oatmeal cookie, the very first ingredient needs to be like oatmeal, of course. Like why would it be something else? You know, you don't want to have, you know, it needs to say sugar and not some kind of corn syrup or whatever. So
sucro dietha something or
yeah,
other.
bro, like something you can't pronounce. It sounds like it's Chinese, but you're like, oh, that's a word that somebody here made up. What are we talking about? But you know, anyhow, yeah, we go from talking about like climate change to fucking sweet potato candy. Like let's go.
Like speaking of all the problems of the world, we were talking like, you know, I guess we weren't addressing it specifically, but we went from starving to holy shit, this is delicious.
Right? I'm just throwing it in their faces now. I'm the problem, guys. I'm the problem. The punk rock review is the problem. Damn it. I wish I could cancel my whole channel now. Activism. Boom, I'm out. This guy's out of his mind. Dude, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is probably very evident. If anybody's watched more than one of my episodes, probably knows. They're laughing at me, not with me. It is what it is, right? Anyways, so what's the ultimate goal with the band? You want to tour all over the world? You want to try to put out some albums and do like smaller stuff, or what are your ambitions with this project?
I mean, for now, it's mostly, you know, I want to play around here, maybe do a little bit of touring, put out a record at some point, you know, start at that level. I mean, if it ended up being possible to do something bigger, maybe, but you
right,
know, we're at that level right now.
Yeah. I've always wanted to do, you know, like a 5-night, you know, simple, like, you know, just like camp out sort of thing.
Right.
Go from, you know, between here and like Portland or something, and, you know, play just wherever we can along the way, and just kind of have that as like a lift off point, and then be like, all right, what are the dynamics of this? How do we, how do we make this replicable?
Yeah, we mostly just want to get out and play our music for people, and that's mostly what it's all about for us right now anyway. So in whatever way we can do that.
I just want something. I want something good to leave on my gravestone.
Yeah,
dude, that's a legit, like, that's a goal. Like, I want something rad on mine. I'm not going for profound. I'm going for awesome. I'm sorry, it is what it is. I want them to be like, this dude fucking ruled, or something real stupid. Like, people be like, oh, that guy probably had a lot of fun, man. You see his fucking tombstone? It just says this guy fucking ruled. Doesn't even have his name on there. Like, well, who was the guy? Actually, that's the move, bro. No name. Yeah. It's just got like a picture of candied yams. Like, they're like, what is this dude's deal? Like, what's up with this guy? It's like I'm part of the cast of that movie Hot Rod. Dude, Andy Samberg, bro.
I watched that. That's a good one.
Hey, dude. Oh man, I don't know what I'm talking about, dude. This is I'm a failure.
We have
shit.
People.
Okay, so because I like to keep this show interesting and fun, right? But there's only so many times you can ask somebody like, well, what do you want to do with your music? It's got to be a good time, dude. Why does it matter? Like, we all know what your goals are, right? You want to put out records, you want to tour, you want to play your music in front of people. Of course you do, right? So like, why don't we talk about stuff that's sillier? I've seen a lot of podcasts where the people that were doing like the more like left of center stuff is the stuff I personally enjoy watching. So I don't mind just getting on here. I don't ever have like a sheet of paper where I'm like checking off questions. It's more like, yeah, what's up, dude? What are we talking about? I don't know. How was your day? Like, dude, everybody has interesting days all the time, right? Like, if you just scratch below the surface, most people are interesting. Most people are have something worthwhile to talk about. So it doesn't take much to get there for the most part. But
I really admire that optimism, just because I'm I don't know if it will ever come to fruition, but I've been just writing like a little, like, small, like, memoir thing. But one of the like points that I make in the prologue that I have is, at the end of the day, like, most people are interesting. So a lot of times I feel like people lack the optimism to engage people, like, simply with the faith that they are an interesting person on the other side of the table. And
right.
I think people are quick to judge and say like, they suck in general, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to be, because it is hard to sometimes not end up being a bit pessimistic and, thing.
So I am aware that I'm like that. And it's a choice, man. Like, it's a choice. Every day I can get up and I can just be an asshole, because look, let's be honest here, dude. So I talk for a living. Everything that I do involves talking. So I don't have a problem talking with anybody, man. And I like to be around people. I like to have fun and joke, because you only live once. I'm 42, man. Like, my life is half over or more. So I don't want to waste this time. So if I can talk to somebody and put out a tape and then eventually have a, back catalog of stuff I did, I'm proud of this stuff, man. And if people don't like it, they don't have to, bro. I don't give a shit, man. You don't like what I do, that's whatever, but it doesn't affect me at all. I don't care. So, because look, the real deal is that I'm right. People are interesting, right? But you can also be a pessimist about it and be like, on the flip side of that coin, most people, while interesting and have something to talk about, are also self-centered and shitty. Because they are. It just depends on how you want to look at it. I mean, most people think about them, and I mean most people do. They don't think about nobody else. We're part of the exception, not the rule. We're trying to do some stuff, spread a message. Most people don't even want to hear the message, bro. Much less try to spread one. Much less try to go out and do something about it. I like to look at things as half full versus half empty. It just makes me have a better day, man. Like, I don't know. I would hate to be that person. I don't know about you guys, but that would be miserable.
Yeah. And well, the negativity in people gives me something to yell about. So there's something.
No. I mean, look, if the world just was suddenly fixed or whatever, right? Music would cease to exist the way we look at it.
That is very, very true. That is very true.
Okay, here's the question then. Here's the question of this podcast, bro. would you give it up? Would you give up all the shit we love and the people? Because the scene would just, it'd be gone. Would you be willing to give that up to have the world fixed, whatever that means? And if so, why?
I mean,
That's an interesting. That's a hard question.
If I had to choose between music and
World peace.
I'll go with world peace. But
Well, that's not what I asked. I wasn't asking about world peace because world peace is impossible.
yeah,
That doesn't exist. I'm talking about just like fixing some shit, right? Because the reason I was asking is because it's very subjective. What you're fixing some stuff might be a little different from mine, might be a little different from my mom or your aunt or uncle. So it would be tough, dude. It'd be real tough. But I think it's a very interesting way to look at stuff. Like, would you be willing to sacrifice that? Because I'd like to think I already knew you were going to say yes, because I feel like you're a reasonable person. I feel like I'd be willing to sacrifice an awful lot to make the world a better place. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
A lot of people would say no to that. A lot of billionaires, those guys would be like, "What? It's
they're just selfish jerks, man."
Yeah,
I
suppose if it meant like really truly helping people, sure. It it won't have to come down to it. It's
right.
There's always
right.
something.
Well, I was talking to somebody, man. I don't remember who I was talking about, but they were talking about like homelessness and somebody else. I was actually not even really talking. I'm a bartender part-time. It was two other people that I know talking, and I was kind of in the conversation as like a spectator or whatever. And they were like, people could end homelessness. And then the other dude was like, yeah, but how long would it be till it was back to this? And I was like, shit, I've never thought of that. Like, do you think it would go back to the way it is now, or would it take decades, or would it be a couple of years? Would it be is that not insane to even, I never thought about that. Like, I guess people always want to, there's always going to be drug addicts. There's always going to be people that are like, I don't know what to call it. Like have some chemical imbalances to the degree where they're unwell. Right. So there's going to be mental health issues and then drug addiction. Right. So I guess there's always going to be, but damn, what a bleak way of looking at things.
Yeah. I mean, the way I kind of think about it is like, maybe it isn't possible to end homelessness, but like, why should these people's lives be hard or harder than they need to be?
Right.
Like,
right.
why make it hard for somebody who's already having a hard time?
Like what, in what context? Like, give me an example of what you're talking about.
Like, if they've fallen on hard times, if they are in need of mental help,
okay,
and they're living on the street, why make it hard for them to make their way? Why kick them out of where they are? Why take?
Well, what's making it hard on them?
What do you mean?
Well, you're saying like, why make it hard on them? So like, what is? And I'm not saying I have an opinion. I'm strictly asking to get your input on this.
Yeah.
So if there's, let's say Joe Schmo has, let's just go with mental health problems, and he is falling on some hard times. He's now homeless, but he chooses to stand on the corner and scream all day. And there are certain people that would say, yeah, get this man, get him the help he needs, house him. Okay, I'm all for that. Who's paying for that? And what if he doesn't necessarily want that? And I'm not saying that I have an opinion either way. I'm speaking strictly from like outside of this conversation, asking the question, right? But I've seen a lot of stuff, and I'm 10 and a half years sober. I'm coming up on 11 years sober, right? There was a point in my life where I would have, thank you. It was the first few years were rough. It's pretty much smooth sailing at this point. But like, I don't get surgeries and stuff that I need because I'm terrified of like pain pills now, but so be it. Right. But I mean, there was a point in my life where I would have absolutely chosen like homelessness and jail for drugs. So I think a lot of folks have this idea of, well, you can help this person and their life will be better. And I think there's an enormous amount of people that don't want that help. And it's hard for people that want to help to see that as a reality. It is a very complex issue is my point. And I just like to get other people's input on it because I think that, down here in Houston, we're probably seeing it different than you are. I think it's very, very different in both places.
Yeah. I mean, I think people end up homeless for a lot of different reasons. Some of it
Right.
is drugs, some of it's mental health issues, but
Some of it, they just lost a job and got, like you said, fell on hard times.
Yeah, and being in hard times can sometimes lead to drug problems and alcohol problems, and
often
these people are in need of mental health treatment, but they can't get it because in this country we make it really hard and really expensive to get those things. And these things kind of spiral, and then you end up with somebody standing on a corner and yelling, but I don't know if it's necessarily always a choice. And
no, it's not always a choice. No, not at all.
times down the road, was this person open to help that they didn't get it, and now they are where they are, and so when I say we shouldn't make it harder on people than it already is, it's like somebody lost their job, they can't afford a home,
Right.
We should at least help them with mental health treatment. If we can give them a home for a short amount of time to uplift them, give them a little bit of a boost back. But in some places you end up with somebody. We have shelters here that are they open in the evening, and then they kick you out at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the police can
it's like strictly an overnight thing.
Yeah. And so, and the way that it happens now in San Francisco is that if somebody's identified as being voluntarily homeless, they can be kicked out of their camp. But voluntarily homeless here now means that the police have to offer you housing, and if you don't take it, then you're voluntarily homeless. But that housing can be that overnight stuff. And I always wonder, how can you have a life, and how can you have things, if you have, like, are you really going to carry stuff with you?
Things aren't necessities, dude. Like
right,
let's just be honest, man, because I spent some time homeless, man. I'll finish your thought. I have another like response question. I just want to. I'm just trying to get information on this. I've never really been anywhere, so I don't have experience out there where you're at. And I know that I've seen some like photos and video, and it's very, very, very different.
Yeah, like even basics like clothing that somebody would need to wear to job. Where do they keep their
hygiene
paperwork,
products,
their driver's license, like all that kind of stuff? Like,
well, paperwork is non-existent anymore. Driver's license in a wallet. I mean,
but if you need to be moving constantly, if you're kicked out of one spot and you got to go here, and then you're kicked out of there at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning,
that is crazy to do that to somebody, though. That is wild. Like, you'd think that they would have like if nothing else, like a system where if they were going to make them leave because they didn't want them being there, and like, I guess for lack of a better word, what's that called when you sit around and just chill with people? They call loiter. Like, if they don't want them loitering or whatever, at least have like foot lockers or something they can lock whatever. You got this much space, you can have this much space of belongings that stay here. It's locked. It's in this building. We have people at the desk that can't walk in and just take all your stuff, because I'm basically just being devil's advocate, because I'm asking questions that I know other people would ask. And a lot of people don't have the courage to just ask because they don't want to sound like maybe they're disagreeing. And I'm not disagreeing at all. I'm just asking questions. But I don't know. I don't really give a shit what people think about me to that degree. I just want to know, because if you can't ask this stuff, like, we're never going to make any headway on any of this. And if you can't, like, I don't understand it the way you do. So I have to ask these questions so that I can understand it. Then I can form an opinion. Then maybe I can do something to help somebody. Even if it's just one person, one's better than none, right? Like, at least that's the way I look at it. But that's such
it can be a really complicated situation. And, for that reason I just described, some people end up going, what, I don't want to deal with that stuff, or I don't want to get separated from my partner or my dog because they won't let my dog in here. So I'm just going to stay where, and then they end up getting kicked out and get all their things taken. And that's, it all kind of snowballs.
So I feel like the one word that like just screams at me. There's two main words. Like, one is compassion, and the other is empathy. Like, we're lacking in that so much, because while I'm asking you about those questions, and my response is like, well, yeah, you can have an ID in your pocket, da 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 da. That's true. But it comes with caveats, man. You got to help the person get their information online somewhere where they can have it. You have to help them get a wallet that they can store their ID in. And maybe that person will lose it, not care. Okay, well, then you make sure that that person is documented as, hey, look, we attempted to help, on to the next person. But if you don't ever help anybody, then you're not doing your job. I feel like, look, maybe it's a crazy number, but for every like 10 people that are homeless, I feel like a fair amount of them are going to want to just do what they're doing, do what they want, do however they. There's going to be at least a couple of them that are so excited to get some help, right? I've seen enough videos on YouTube of dudes that like their whole life was changed because some guy drove up in a truck and was like, "Hey man, if you want to come help me for work, I'll buy you a cell phone." And the guy goes and helps him. He gets a cell phone. Boom! Now he can get a job because he's got a phone number to call. Like there are people that do want the help. I sometimes I get, I don't know. I'm at an age where I look at things a little different than I did in my 20s. But people that need help, there's a lot of them that want it. There's a lot of them that desperately need it. And I don't know, man. I know there's going to be a lot that just, I guess I get sucked into like, it's easy to just make excuses as to why you didn't help anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because some of them make sense. Some of them really do make sense. But at the end of the day, like you have to at least attempt it. I do this to myself, bro. You see how I spiral out of control, and it puts me in this like frenzy where I just like I overthink everything. And in reality, if you just take somebody a fucking meal, please. Like, can you just say hello? Like I just little things. And I don't need a pat on the back, but like just help somebody. It's not. I don't know. If everybody started their morning off like I'm gonna make one person smile today, this whole world would be different.
Yeah, if everybody, even just little things, if everybody. Some people get real pessimistic about it, and then they just treat people, unhoused people, as if they're lower than everybody else, and that just makes it so much worse for everybody.
Sorry, this has just been on my mind throughout this conversation, but I think whether or not a person like chooses to be out on the street, I would say it's in the moral interest of society at large to at least make the opportunity for them to change, at least make that available. And that is within reach to at least provide the opportunity. And so give a person like the choice to accept it or not. But at the end of the day, there's still the step ladder or the leg up, to get them where they need to be. So just so long as the ability for us as a society to uplift people, that's the important thing, and people make their choices from that point. You can't force someone to do something that they don't want to do. For example, like recovering from addiction, it's like a lot of people are happy being being on the pipe or whatever, but then a lot of people are like they're dependent on it, and they'll do whatever they can if given the opportunity to no longer have that be the case for themselves.
Well, but I've spent a lot of time in that situation with addiction, like a long time, with very, very hard drugs. And I can tell you that I was both equally as committed to staying on it as I was desperate to get off of it. It is a wild, wild thing. And it's not easy. And I didn't mean to cut you off there. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished with your thought.
I mean, that's why it's important to keep trying with people. You hit them one day, they might be on this side of that. You hit them another day, they're willing to accept. So you catch them the way they want to. And
I think with addicts, it's far more complicated than that. Do you guys have any experience with that stuff at all? Like personal experience with addiction?
Well, a very, very close friend of mine, he was my best friend for a long time. He ended up he ended up frying his brains out on acid. But then he ended up going so far as living in absolute squalor and shooting heroin between his toes, he was on the one hand, it's like you feel like really, really bad for that guy. But on the other hand, just at least in my experience with him, it was, to me, I felt like there was an element of danger for my own mental health and well-being, to like go out on a limb and be with a person who, like, you know, did used to, you know, beat me up and belittle me and all that stuff, and that just sucks, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's well, more than you know, man. It is so. It's. I understand that. I understand both ends of it. I understand people that are like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm washing my hands of these people. I get it. I understand that, because I had to basically do that when I wanted to get clean. I had to remove myself from people that I love, still love. I didn't say loved, love. I love these people, and they don't want help. And I think that there's this romantic idea that everybody out there wants help, and I would say that that's super not at all accurate. A lot, especially like in places now. I don't know specific stuff. It's weird, man. I think you'll never get. A lot of people don't want to help because it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work. But the way I feel is that if you used a dog as an example earlier, like somebody wouldn't let you take your dog. That is exactly what made me homeless. I had a dog. I literally had him for 18 years. But when I was younger, he was my best friend. It's the only thing I had, man. I had him and, you know, a part-time job, and I didn't have very many friends, and nowhere I could afford would let me have the dog. So I just chose to stay out there. And, like, you know, I don't think that it was anybody else's responsibility to come and help me. I didn't have to keep the dog. Now, at that point in my life, I thought it was better for my mental health to keep the dog. And in hindsight, I still think that that's the case, right? But I feel like they don't want to go through the trouble of making the space available for that kind of person, because it does take manpower, it does take people, time, money. I don't know. They'd rather make, you know, do what?
Willpower.
Yeah, I feel like it's sad. It's really sad because the resources are probably there. Even if it was like individual help, you know, with like this rich person A and rich person C, they got together and they came together and funded this thing, and it helped. I don't think they could one group of people could necessarily fix the country, but they could start in your city. They could start down in Houston. They could start in Florida somewhere.
Yeah.
How about let's get rid of big pharma? Let's start there. That's a huge step in the right direction, because it's all linked. All this stuff is linked together to some degree. You know, my problem was that, you know.
Yeah, all it takes is people who with the means doing something, and instead we end up with, you know, billionaires who have more money than possibly spend in a lifetime building clocks out in the mountains.
That's crazy.
Helping people get mental health treatment and housing.
It's like I'm sorry. The rich people aren't incentivized to help. They're incentivized to stay greedy, and that's where I think we're in this weird spot where the government could step in, but it's like those are the same people we're talking about. It's all one small group of people. It's like the 1% of the 1% of the 1% is who runs this whole country, and you know the fact that they still do what?
Oligarchy.
Yeah, dude. Well, the fact that you can still go and find like opioids pretty easily is wild to a degree that I can't explain. It's crazy. That stuff kills so many people, and it's like these companies are more concerned about, well, yeah, but if you take them the right way, it's like, dude, who does that? Almost nobody. Like, what are we talking about? Like, you didn't make it. I'm convinced they didn't even make that stuff for that reason. They made it to make. I feel like that stuff grabbed a hold of me and almost killed me, man. It was scary. Anyways, this is a real drab jury conversation, but I think it's necessary. Well, you know, entertainment isn't the end all be all, dude. Like sometimes we have to have a shitty conversation, man. It is what it is, dude. I'm willing to do that. And I don't know that we would 100% agree across the board on everything, but I sure think that we could work together and make some changes. I would be pretty surprised if that wasn't the case.
It's important to talk about stuff, and it's the reason for a lot of the lyrical content of the songs that I write. And it's things that I think are important that need to be talked about.
well, the conversation came pretty organic and came pretty easy, and I think that is a testament to stuff that you stand on. I wouldn't have felt as comfortable maybe speaking with like a pop punk artist about this topic. You know what I'm saying? And I don't say that to be funny. I mean, that content wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have been in their music the way it is in yours. And I would love to talk to more ska bands, right? But I want to talk to more bands that are, hey, look, bro, I come from the '90s, man. Ska's awesome.
No,
Danny loves ska.
Yeah, I love ska.
Let's go. Let's go.
That Op Ivy patch, man. You got it going on.
Oh, dude, do I have one? Yeah.
Yeah. But what I thought was funny, it's like, I could be talking to ska bands. And so like our old band way back in the day, like we used to play a shitload of ska music. Like that was very large.
Let's go.
Described ourselves. So it's
dude,
like,
that's awesome.
In some sense, you kind of are talking to one.
Dude, that's rad. Do you like any like modern stuff at all? Or are you only into some of the older, like traditional ska stuff?
I'm not as scholarly. But
dude, my wife would love that joke, dude. She's a super dad joke kind of woman.
Oh yeah, no, I'm as am I. But anywho, yeah, just I've always loved ska music. I guess I would just kind of stick more with the classics, but like Arrogance Bitches is always great. Streetlight.
Dude, that was my daughter's first show. She was 8 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Streetlight. Shout out to Catbite. You ever heard Catbite?
No.
Yo, y'all just glitched out. I'm sorry, you glitched out. What were you saying?
I have not heard of Catbite.
Dude, they're from Philadelphia. Super inclusive, great band with great lyrics and a great frontwoman. But my daughter's first show was Streetlight Manifesto and Catbite. And I love Catbite. They've been on the show a couple times. They're super sweet people, and they're killing it right now. Dude, just check them out, man. They're not what you think of as a ska band. They don't have a horn section or anything. They've got like a keyboardist and stuff. Oh, really? Yeah, dude. Yeah. Hey, man, you don't have to have horns, dude. You have to have just a ska, riff on your guitar to be a ska band. But
yeah.
So okay, so I feel like we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but what is does the EP have like a message that's like one encompassing message, or is it each song individually has its own topic, or how'd you go about coming up with this stuff?
I mean, I didn't write the songs with kind of like a umbrella of like topic.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, it's a little all over the map, but there's things that I care about and that I think are
hell yeah
important. I think generally I write songs about I don't know, it's kind of all over the place, but you've got brutality and war and
man, hey,
climate change.
Pause. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you off. You glitched out again right when you were fixing to say something about the songs.
Oh yeah, the songs are the topics for what's on the EP, and what other songs I have are things like police brutality and climate change and that money in politics, and it's kind of the ills of the world as I see it.
Right.
Patriotism being, but in the bad sense of the word, rather nationalism.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say there's nothing wrong with patriotism, but nationalism seems like, I don't know, all those words are super. I don't think they mean what they used to mean, and there's a lot of weird stuff attached to that stuff now. I kind of just
yeah. I'm
proud to be from Texas, but I'm like, I don't know how to say that without sounding like an asshole now. So I just don't really care.
Patriotism and nationalism, and I would call it like weaponized patriotism and
right.
nationalism.
Right, man. Police brutality is something that I think we could do with a whole lot less of. It amazes me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still to this, I just don't understand how this stuff has been like prevalent and upfront in our faces since I was a little kid. And it's still, I feel like, getting worse. And I feel like, I understand a cop saying, yeah, but I go into these dangerous situations and da 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 da. Okay, but we don't even hear about that stuff being the issue. We hear about dude got stopped on a freeway and then got shot. Like, that's the stuff that I'm talking about, not in a gang infested neighborhood where you got shot at and had to protect yourself. Dude, we know that exists. That's why cops have a very dangerous job. But it's like the unnecessary force that's used, I would say, daily, that is scary. And I wish that, I don't know, man. I wish that we'd had some brave people that would. I'm not willing to do it though. I don't want to go and mess with the people. They got a way to get. I have been physically mistreated by the police in Houston before, more than once. Pretty badly. It's scary, man. You're like, how do you even stand up to these people? You know what I'm saying? It's ugh, bro.
Yeah,
cops, man.
People will talk about like the good cops and all that kind of stuff, but if it's some of them,
where are those guys hanging out?
Yeah, and if there are good ones and there are bad ones, then that, like, just because there's good ones doesn't mean we shouldn't do anything about the bad ones.
Facts, bro. 100% facts. Like, I hate hearing about there are good ones. Of course there are. Sure. Like, I'm sure that, well, I can't even use some of these words, but yeah, dude, there's good people in every group, I would think, to a certain degree. Yeah. But
people use the term one bad apple. They'll refer to a cop as one bad apple, but they don't say the rest of the phrase, which is one bad apple spoils the bunch.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, look, let's use like our an employer as an example, right? Let's say you go to work and you're on time for work every single day for 6 months, but on 6 months and one day you're 20 minutes late. You didn't call to let them know. You didn't you didn't do your due diligence or whatever. You showed up late, you come in, you clock in, you sit down, start working. Your boss comes up. They don't tell you thank you for being on time every day for the past 6 months. Now let's go talk about your being late. They say, hey man, you weren't here this one time on time. So yes, one bad apple will ruin the entire bunch because it takes far more good to cover up the bad. One bad thing overshadows all the good very easily. It's really easy to figure out. They just don't want to figure that out.
Well, yeah, and when you find out about bad things that have been happening within police departments, it's like, oh, it's this group of guys over here, but there's no way the rest of them didn't know about it, and silence is just as bad as doing the thing itself.
1,000,000%. And I think that damn it. Sorry, I was trying to find something out that would make y'all laugh.
I mean,
yeah, I have really bad ADHD. Something popped in my head and I tried to find it real quick and I failed miserably. So it's okay. But like, dude, it's like I watch a lot of MMA. You're telling me that you got a guy in your gym that got popped for doing steroids a couple of times and nobody else in the gym knew about it? I call shenanigans, dude. And it's the same way with cops. You think this guy's taking money from people for, let's say drug dealers, right? And that's a world I've been a part of, right? So, okay, he's getting money from these guys to be left alone, okay? And you're telling me that his partner didn't know? And then if his partner knew, you're telling me they didn't talk? And other people, like, I just simply don't believe it. So you are correct. If people are being silent, are there, like, okay, I have known 2 cops in my life. I used to own a comic book shop. And I knew a guy named Jeremy. Shout out to Jeremy. He knows, if he sees this, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. He would be the exception to the rule. He was the cop that I am positive was a good person. I think he went on to another career, as if I'm not mistaken. And I've also known people that became cops. And I was like, dude, why would you choose that? Like, what made you choose that job? And it's always some bullshit about stability. I don't want to hear stability. I just don't believe it. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but somebody goes to be a cop in their mid-20s. I don't stability, dude. Come on.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes I worry about this goes for police and it goes for the military. And there are people out there that just want to rough people up. There's people out there that want to shoot people and be patted on the back for it. And those jobs exist out there, and that scares me.
Well, a lot of policemen that I've come into personal contact with, you can tell within seconds of meeting them that they were the kids that were picked on in high school.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that you should be picked on and there should be no repercussions for that. But the repercussions shouldn't be that you go become a cop and now you pick on people. Like, what do you mean? Didn't you hate the bullying when you were a kid? Why'd you become one? Like, what are we doing?
That's an overly harsh way of giving someone else their comeuppance, right?
Right. It's crazy, man. We are in a hot mess, dude. I feel like maybe the world, but definitely the US is in a spot where I don't know that we can come back from where we're at, man. I think we've kind of gotten ourselves into enough trouble to where this hole is deep enough to where our hands no longer reach up out the top of it. We can't climb out of it. It's going to take some help. And I don't know that we've got enough friends that want to help us. You know, we're living in very scary times.
It feels like a tipping point in some ways, you know. We all do what we can to keep it on the right side of things, but you know, you never know.
Right.
That's why I recycle, man.
Let's go. Come on now.
So the oil companies can all fuck us over anyway.
Dude, you want to hear something? So I just moved into this new place where I'm in now, and it's a lovely place. It's outside of Houston by like almost an hour now. It's I love it. It's quiet. There's not as many people. But when I moved from the suburb of Houston to where I'm at now, kind of out in the country, the one thing that we immediately noticed that bothered my wife and I both was that they don't do recycling out here. Like, they just don't do it. Like, there's no green trash cans anywhere. There's no, like, you have to take your stuff somewhere. And I'd love to say that we do that. We can't. I have 3 children and I own 2 businesses, this and another job. We just simply don't have it in our time. I try to do as much organic recycling with like any kind of food and stuff, and we have like a thing in the backyard. But like, they took that away from us, and I didn't think it was going to bother me that much, to be honest with you. And it does, man. I feel like a asshole a lot for not taking the time out to go do this. But
I even when I go somewhere and that's the case, I feel bad about throwing something into the trash. But I mean, one of the things I love about San Francisco and the Bay Area is that like we have recycling and we have industrial composting too. And so I mean, we really don't end up throwing all that much away. And like, you can
that's awesome.
Post a ton of stuff and
dude, that's amazing.
It's kind of it's really a shame that that's not even available in some places. They don't care enough to give that to people.
Well, like the driving for us, it's not even like, if it was like 10 minutes down the road, that's still fairly long distance, really. But I would drive 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Dude, it's not. It's like 25 minutes to get to the nearest place to drop some stuff off. So it sucks, man. I really, really hate it. We've been talking for a little while, man. I want to close out on more of a lighter tone, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Let's talk about some bands, dude. So how old are you fellas? I never even asked you guys this.
I'm 33.
I'm 32.
Okay, so we're like about a decade apart. That's not crazy far. Honestly, you guys are doing well, man. I thought you were younger than that. You're winning, man. You got the genetic lottery in your favor, I guess. I look like shit all the time. So, okay. So what are some of your favorite bands just in general? Let's one at a time. Tell me like 3 of your favorite bands. It doesn't have to be any kind of specific order. Just like, who are the go-to bands you listen to when you just want to hear some good music?
Well, it was funny because I actually did I did watch your episode on like 10 favorite NoFX songs. So I would say NoFX, abso-fucking-lutely. Love them. Swingin' Utters. And then I guess I'm a pretty basic dude, but the Clash.
Okay. Dude, like your style.
Yeah, I guess I would say
Youth Brigade too.
Yeah, where it's hard to pick favorite bands, I guess I would pick 3 of like different styles.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I guess I could do 3 of different styles, which would be the Clash and Discharge for the hard flavor of things, and then I've been a really big Green Day fan for a long time. So I guess that would kind of encompass.
All right.
Thing.
Wait, okay. This might start. How much time do y'all have? We might have a whole other conversation, man. Okay. Feel free to let me know when to stop this, dude. So, okay. Let's start with this. So my favorite band in the world is Rancid. Both of y'all mentioned The Clash. Mm-hmm. What about The Clash is it that you like? Because I think we're going to do an episode about The Clash, but me and my co-host have notoriously been not into that band at all. Mm-hmm. Ever. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I guess lyrically I understand it, I guess. But like I don't understand the appeal. And people always find that funny, being as that my favorite band is Rancid.
Yeah. Well, our drummer really doesn't.
Yeah, he
like
hates
the Clash very much. The Clash. But the other three really like the Clash. And I guess for me, I mean, their first record, like I don't know, they were all over the map throughout their whole career. But their first record is a punk record, and it's in a lot of ways people like to argue about what punk is and what. It's all a lot based on sound a lot, but it's sound and it's attitude. And they were really, like you said, the lyrical content, but then they would, back in the day, they were sticking up for like minority music groups. They'd have, they knew rap was coming up big and they would stand up for those groups. And it's a lot of attitude and it's the music too, that it's all that for me.
Okay.
Well, for me, the first Clash album I got was the first Clash album, and I remember like I had really liked White Riot, even though like when I first heard it, which was on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, hilariously enough. Like I was like, what the fuck is this? Because it just sounded like a bunch of like random ass noises, but there was something about the energy to it. But what I really like about the Clash is I would say they're the most like classic rock, rock and roll like band of all the bands that I like. And
okay.
And so I enjoy a lot of the unpunk elements to what they do, like Lost in the Supermarket, for example. Like I remember the first time I heard that song, I was like, holy shit, you know what I mean? This is just like a heartfelt, like sensitive song that would get played at like somebody's fucking funeral. And like, there was that, and then, just a lot of the straight up poppy songs like Train in Vain. And then they're like Brand New Cadillac. I mean, I guess that would be a little bit more on the punk side, but it's still just very like, traditional sort of like rock and roll style. And so, that's what I want to hear. And I feel like their diversity of what they're able to accomplish while still also give a lot of voice to like, or a lot of exposure to the genre of punk, I think is just really awesome. And they're able to, they didn't look like anybody else. Well, at least, for a while they kind of did, but they sure as shit didn't sound like anybody else. But at the same time, like what you were saying is their hearts were in the right places on, so many political issues that were, hitting the UK and, the globe. And at the same time, they also had like a fucking heart, where they could write a love song that you would be able to like look at that and just be like, that's an inarguably great song. And just because it doesn't necessarily fit the mold of like punk as people stereotype it doesn't mean that they're not great. And that's actually one of the qualities that I really, really like about the Clash.
Yeah. And when I look at the Clash, I see a band that was very, very intentional about everything they did. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. And I
agree with that.
Respect that about them.
Now we have them in the background here too. That's how.
Yeah. But
oh shit.
I don't like it when a band seems aimless, that they're just kind of a hodgepodge of whatever, like I want them to.
That's exactly how I feel about the Clash.
Yeah, I want them to know what they're doing, and it feels like their heart's in it. That they have something to say with what they're doing.
Yes, no, I agree with that, but I meant that I always felt like they were like a hodgepodge of aimless, didn't know what they wanted to do. I'm not an expert on the band, so I just the impression that I got, right? But I always felt as though you could be a punk rocker, right, and play music and have some of that stuff in your music even, and still not be a punk band. And I think that a punk band is mostly about the sound, sonically. It's a descriptive word. And then they were punk rockers. It's a stupid argument, really, at the end of the day, right? But it is fun to talk about, and these bands are important to people, so it is a conversation that will happen. I'm not here to just bash that band. You mentioned them, and I've notoriously not been a fan of their music, and so I just wanted to know. Is there a documentary or anything that you could recommend that I watch, or a book I could read that would really give me some great insight to them? If so, let me know, man. 'Cause I'm going to do it.
Well, one thing I really enjoyed is that there's a podcast that was narrated by Chuck D from Public Enemy.
Okay.
And that, I thought that was really good, because it's they have an interesting story, and they're where their music changed a lot. It very much was a progression. It wasn't like you never got an album that was like all of those things all at the same time. They kind of evolved, and they were really into like dance hall and reggae music, and so like eventually that made its way into their music, but that all happened over a span of time, and I think what makes a good band is a band can't evolve. If they're exactly the same all the way through, it's fine, but the real great bands go somewhere.
I mean, Bad Religion, though, who I forgot.
I was going to say Bad Religion, Pennywise, they have not changed much, and I think that they're great.
Well, what I was going to say, or sorry, go ahead.
No, what's up?
Well, I was just going to say, like Bad Religion, like they were doing their thing for like their first, like, I forget, like 1 or 2 albums, and then they released that album Into the Unknown, where they went into like some weird, like rushy. So they took a real fucking hard left. And then eventually they decided, oh shit, this was terrible. Like, and then
they saw the error in their ways and came back home, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, they almost fucked that up, dude. And look, and I asked that question sincerely. I want to know more about that band, because another example of me not liking a band would be The Descendants. Well, I am now a fan of that band because I did an episode on them, so I did a lot of research and I watched the documentary. And then I went and saw them live, and it completely flipped me. So many people are afraid to A, have a different opinion from everybody else, and then B, to change their mind. I don't know. I don't see the harm in any of those things. I think it's okay to not like what everybody else likes, and I think it's okay to change your mind and like something that you didn't like for a long time. I don't know. That to me would be very boring if you could only like this stuff and never change your mind. Well, what if I like something and I decide I don't? Is that okay? It's such a weird thing for people to get defensive about and gatekeep stuff like the fucking Clash. Like, what are we doing? But I will. Do you happen to know the name of that podcast? I'll just look it up though.
Yeah, not off the top of my head, but it's, well, I guess we're on my phone
I'm gonna write down what you said.
Yeah, I can send it to you. It's a good one.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Is it just one episode, or is it like a series of episodes?
No, it's like, it's not a shitload of them, but it's like 6 or 8 or something like that.
Okay, that's awesome. I would love to. I'm gonna listen to that tonight if I can.
That's it. Stay Free.
Stay Free.
Yeah, it's called Stay Free: The Story of the Clash.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. You watch. Next time I see you guys, I'm gonna be wearing a Clash shirt. I'm kidding, of course, but
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah,
man.
You never know. You never know.
I'm gonna come track you down in Houston and be like, "Where's your shirt, man?"
The fucking dude, that would be amazing. I would be so, dude. You want to blow my mind? Do that. I would. I might just die. The best thing is that that is an actual possibility. I could become a big fan of this band, and I'm not afraid of that. It's okay with me. And speaking of that actual exact thing, you said Green Day, right? I like Green Day. They've never been a top 10 or 20 band for me, but they've always consistently put out good music, right? And we just did a podcast on 30 years of Dookie, And Alkaline Trio and Woman Army are two of my favorite bands. And we did on the same episode, the second half was about their split album.
Mhm.
And my favorite Green Day record, I'll give you one guess what my favorite Green Day record is. I'll just make you guess one time.
That's an Ethan question.
Oh man, I don't know. Well,
American Idiot.
Danny says American Idiot.
Not even close. I hate that fucking record.
Okay, well,
But-
see, I thought it would be something where it's like it's gonna be some totally left field thing, you know.
And it,
So-
and it absolutely is. That's why I asked, because I figured you would guess it. My favorite album by them is Father of All Motherfuckers. But that is the thing is that I've never been a huge like diehard Green Day fan, so I never even heard that album until recently. My favorite album is probably actually Insomniac,
Yeah.
but the one I listen to the most right now is Father of All, because I found it very refreshing. I never understood all the hate. Do you hate that album like everybody else does, or is that something that you can stomach?
I don't hate it. It doesn't excite me in the way that their other stuff has.
Okay.
You know, I kind of feel that way about a lot of the stuff that they've released over the past decade or so. Like even American Idiot, it's fine. There are things that I like about it, but you know, I'm more of an older school Green Day fan. But
Yeah.
you know, I don't actively hate the. It's just not that exciting to me.
Sure. Well, I mean, the reasons I like it are if you know, once you get to know me more, you'll be like, oh, I'm not even a little surprised he likes that album. It sounds like other bands that I. Well, I mean, it sounds like bands I like. It's got short songs. It's like I think like 10 songs, 20 something minutes. Like it's exactly what I look for in a record. American Idiot. While of course there's good things about that album, I don't like it because it's the opposite of what I normally go for. It's these long, operatic, drawn out songs and these orchestrated, beautiful pieces, and I'm just like, that's cool, but like, I don't like prog rock. I don't like Rush. Like, why would I like? It just sounds like they're like it's just not interesting me, right?
Mhm.
But I'm not here to hate on Green Day either, man. They're fine, dude. I like their new record. How'd you feel about it?
Same thing. Not
Yeah.
bad, but you know, the Green Day I like is the, you know, playing at Gilman Street, a small club, you know, playing some energetic music.
I agree with that. I like. I think that people are calling that album a masterpiece, and I think they're mostly mad about Father of All. To be honest, that album is so far from a masterpiece; it's unbelievable. But it's a solid record. But it's not. It's not like bad, but it's not. I mean, I've got a copy on vinyl. I mean, I own the record. Like, it's not a bad album, but it's not a masterpiece, dude. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
People are so crazy.
I live in East Bay. I'm gonna tell on you to Billy Joe.
Go knock on his
Well,
door.
I'll be seeing him in a few months in Austin, so let him know to look for me in the crowd. Bring me up on stage, and I'll argue with him.
Oh, right on. Right. I mean, I don't have a dog in the race on this one. All I'm just saying is,
Well, I'm going to go see them play the Rancid. I'm very excited
Oh,
about
right
seeing
on.
them play. They're playing American Idiot and Dookie in their entirety with hits in between, bro. That's going to be a crazy show. Look, whether you like those albums or not, that's kind of crazy, bro. Like that's cool to witness. Like I don't know, man. That band is
They put on a good
iconic.
show.
Correct.
Yeah.
So does Rancid. I mean, that's my shit, bro. I'm a fucking nerd for that band. But so if you guys could go on tour right now, you could drop everything. You could go, fuck it, man. We got 3 weeks on the road with anybody. Who would that anybody be and why?
I feel like everyone I would pick is just way the fuck out of my league.
That's the whole point of this question, man. Who would it be, dude? It could be like fucking Chuck Berry or James Brown, or it could be Megadeth if that's who you want to fuck with. I don't care.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is that I don't really want to play like a stadium or anything like that. You know, the thing that's exciting to me is like our friend's band Spy. Their shows are just like fucking batshit. Like
That's
you know,
awesome, dude.
people go haywire. It's a great time. That's all I really want. You know, I want people to show up and go all out for the show, and they really put on a. People show up for Spy.
Dude, that's a great answer, man. I want to know about the homies. Send me a link to them if you don't mind. I want to check them out. You've talked about them twice now. I want to check this band out. I mean, I like to ask that question just because it's fun, man. I mean, I've had some really crazy answers, but I mean, I would be like, man, I want to go play like a club tour, but I do want to take Metallica and I want to put them in a fucking 300 person venue and I want to make people lose their shit like that. Or, you know, if I could go with anybody right now, I was friends with Riley from Power Trip. I would bring him back and I would go on tour with Power Trip. Like, that's what I would, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's just a fun question, man. I've had one or two people take it way too seriously, but like generally speaking, it's just a silly ass question, man. Earlier you guys had mentioned that you want to kind of do like 5, excuse me, I don't know if you said 5 weekend days, small little tours here and there. I think that's the way to go now, man. Most bands that I'm seeing, they're doing like 4 days in Texas, 6, you know, you can do a week in Texas, you can do a week in California, you can do a small West Coast, like with Central America thing, you do it East Coast, do them in little increments. I think it may take a longer time to get across the country, but you might have more fun and be more successful that way. And then that's ultimately what you need anyways, to have the desire to keep going out. But if you go out and it just breaks the bank, you come back, you didn't have any fun, you're not going to go back out anyways, right? At least that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Gotta keep the energy up.
Yeah.
Fucking right, dude. I mean, dude, 4 songs in 6 minutes, bro. Like, I mean, yeah. I would say you guys keep the energy up, man. I fuck with your music a lot, dude. I'm really happy to know you guys, and I'm extremely excited to get this tape out, man. Is there anything you guys want to talk about before we get out of here tonight?
I'm good. I'm actually just like I'm a little jonesing because I got to use the little boys' room.
No, dude.
We just got I had a screen printing screen made. We're gonna make some patches to sell it. Our next
after
this.
we're playing over at this thing called 510 Grindfest.
Yeah, it's 20 something bands each day, and it's basically 15 minutes per band, 2 stages. The second one band finishes, the next one starts, and that's efficient.
That sounds awesome, dude.
We're playing very first on 420. So
nice. Hey, man. Well, I want to officially welcome you guys to 31 Records, man. I fuck with you guys, and I can't wait to get this tape out. Dude, this is my whole dream of my life. I'm living it. So I'm happy to be able to do this with you guys. It's an honor, man. I really appreciate y'all even wanting to talk with me.
Yeah, we appreciate it too.
Hells yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. So what I'll do is in like a little bit, we'll talk. I know you got to go to the restroom, so head out if you need to. We'll square away the stuff with the tape. We'll get that all figured out. Once that comes out and y'all played a few more shows, let's talk again. And then, you know, we'll have known each other a little bit at this point, and we can have another episode if you guys want to. I would love to have you back on.
I would love to be back. I can't speak for this fucker.
Sounds good.
That guy, man, this old unreliable over here. But shit, yeah, man, it's been a pleasure, dude. You guys are awesome. I'm excited about working with you, and I really enjoy your music. So thank you so much for bringing it to the world, dude. I'm excited about all this. So without nothing else to say, you guys go check out PROSTHETIC. I'll put their Bandcamp and their I guess all the social media stuff in the description. Go check them out, support this band, and look forward to, I guess, the 4-song EP on 31 Records. It's going to have some stickers and shit with it, and a pressing card, of course, like I do with all my tapes. And who knows, man? Maybe there's a 7-inch in the future. Who knows, man? We do whatever the fuck we want over here. So y'all have a great night. Support independent music and independent punk rock, and go make a change. All right. Love y'all. Peace.